Welcome to our first Building Our Family video. We wanted to make a video to let everybody know our process and our struggles we've had during our infertility and our adoption process. We mentioned that we would make a video to share our journey. It has been difficult for us, and we decided we wanted to share, even though that we're very introverted people and quiet. We thought it'd be a good way to get this out to everybody, and also maybe we can help a family that is also struggling and kind of helping them, encourage them on the journey that we have been on so far.
So we were married in 2009 and spent the first 7 years of our marriage focused on things like our careers and getting our house together the way we wanted it, and just kind of doing all the fun things that newlyweds do, a lot of traveling. And I think it was towards the middle of 2016 when we decided to start trying to have a family. And like any couple, you go into it thinking that it'll just happen and it'll just be a matter of months. I remember going to a neighbor's garage sale and purchasing maternity clothes and baby clothes just 2 months into trying, because I was just so sure that it would happen right away for us and there would be no issues.
So we kind of started the process. We started to try 6 months on our own. And after having no luck, we decided to reach out to the OBGYN and talk to them. After checking out Jennifer, she recommended that we go see an endocrinologist in about 2 hours away. So we decided to reach out, and we made an appointment. We went to the office. And it's kind of like you see on TV. They sit you down in their office privately and you kind of talk for like an hour, and they ask you questions and kind of see what your goals are. And we felt really good about it. A lot of good communication back and forth from the doctor and us. And we thought we were, definitely on the right track to building our family.
So we decided to start our treatment process in the summer of 2017 and started with some of the most basic fertility treatments out there. So I took some pills for a few days that would help my body ovulate in hopes of getting pregnant. We did, I think it was maybe 3 rounds, probably 3 rounds over 7 months. And each time it either didn't work, of course, or my body didn't properly respond to the medications. So that did not work well for us. In the meantime, I, like any woman trying to get pregnant, tried every wives' tale, every supplement out there, yoga, changing my diet, absolutely anything I could to try to make this happen for us.
So in March of 2018, we decided to proceed with IUI, and we started that process learning. I had to learn how to do injectables for Jennifer, and I believe we went through like 13 days of shots, ultrasounds, all that kind of stuff. So it was kind of a little more intense than just taking pills. But that was kind of our introduction to doing shots and learning the process and exactly where to put the shots and all that. So
took some getting used to.
Yes.
So after the IUI, you wait a couple weeks to get your results, and I was just 100% sure that it worked. I was so confident and knew this was all we would need to get pregnant. I also began planning our pregnancy announcement because I was just so excited. We had Easter with my family that year, and I had planned to give family members an egg, and they would open up, and inside it would say, "We're expecting." So I had it all planned in my head, just knowing that it for sure would work. And unfortunately, we tested a few days later, and the result was negative. And we kind of took some time to regroup and had another meeting with our doctor. And at that time, she told us that we should move on to IVF.
So we spent quite a few months saving, probably a good half a year or so. And, a lot of people don't realize like how expensive this stuff is because insurance usually doesn't cover any of it. So you're literally walking into the doctor and swiping your card for thousands of dollars each time. And there's no like turning into insurance or anything like that. So it's pretty much coming out of our pocket. So when you've already went through the pills and the IUI, you have a chunk of money already put there. And when you switch to IVF, it's definitely it's a big investment, and it's not going to every level gets you into more and more expense, and sometimes there's shots that cost $100 a shot, so it's kind of those deals you kind of just swallow, and you just kind of move forward because your end goal is to have a child. And we were put in this position that we couldn't naturally, so we had to look at all of our options, and this was our next move, was going forward with the with the IVF. We kind of took the time off just to kind of recover. In the summer of 2018, we began ordering meds and began the stimulation process.
I remember when we got the meds in the mail, it was just incredibly overwhelming to see how much meds were there and how much we were going to have to do. So that was pretty overwhelming when we saw that. So then we began the stimulation process, that part of IVF. So what you're doing there is you're doing injections, hormone injections, to make your body produce as many eggs as you possibly can. Normally speaking, a woman will produce 1 to 2 eggs per month. And so you want to kind of make that process grow exponentially. So I did 14 days of shots, which is a little bit longer than some people. Did blood draws, ultrasounds, and found out that I'm what they call a poor responder. So I take even more medication, even higher doses than most women, to produce what someone from my age should normally produce. And so that required us to continually go and purchase more and more medication, thousands of dollars each time, because I wasn't producing the eggs as I was supposed to. But it was finally approved for egg retrieval in September of 2018.
So the egg retrieval process consists of the doctor removing the eggs that Jennifer was able to produce, and then they join the eggs with sperm to make an embryo. And so that process was done, and then we pretty much went home, and over days they kind of keep a monitor on them to see kind of how they're developing and which ones are doing better than others. We ended up removing 10 eggs, and at the end we ended up with 3 healthy embryos. And so they go ahead and put those on ice until freeze them until we decide, when we're going to do the transfers. And so it's kind of a weird feeling knowing that you got 3 possible babies in a freezer somewhere that are frozen, and you just have to decide when you want to try to do the transfer, and how we would proceed. And so yeah, we were excited that we had 3 embryos, and that would give us three good solid chances, hopefully.
So a couple months later, we began our first transfer process. That was in November of 2018. And to prepare your body to receive an embryo, there's a number of things you have to do. There's blood draws, ultrasounds, and a new type of shot, which is called a progesterone and oil shot. And that is an intramuscular shot where you're putting a progesterone hormone into your body to help carry the embryo and help it stick and grow to a healthy baby. And so that was kind of a different experience for us. It's kind of on the side of your hip. And so Doug had to help me with that shot. And it was definitely one of the more intimidating ones. We brought a progesterone and oil needle to show that off.
Yeah. So for people that don't know how big these things are, I mean, that's the needle right there. So if you look at my finger compared to how big the needle is, I mean, it's big.
So that was fun. That started 5 days before the transfer and then continued every night until the pregnancy test. So going into the transfer, we were just feeling super grateful to even have the ability to transfer an embryo. Some people do IVF and retrieval and end up with nothing to transfer. So that gratefulness wasn't lost on me, and I knew how important that was. So the day of the transfer, doctor said the embryo looked top notch, and they just picked the very best one of the 3 to transfer first. So it was really good. And then during the transfer, unfortunately, they did run into some complications. So the procedure took longer than it normally should have, and was more painful than what it normally is. So that was a bit of a hiccup. And then we began our 8-day wait for the results of our first transfer.
So we had to go to our local hospital because on Saturdays our local clinic didn't do the kind of tests that were required. So we go, into the emergency room at the local hospital. They check us in, and then Jen goes and gets her blood work done. And so we came back home and we had to wait 4 hours. And we were watching. It was a Saturday, so we were watching college football, and we got a phone call that the blood work came back in. And normally with the testing, your number needs to be greater than 5, and our number was -1, which I guess, I don't know, that's even supposed to be a number that we're supposed to be possible, but it was a -1. So clearly the transfer didn't work. And so it was kind of a rough deal because, going into IVF, you think, oh, well, we transferred, everything looked good. And then you kind of think, well, it's going to work. And then it comes back negative. So right off the bat, you lost 1 embryo. So you only have 2 left, which kind of makes you nervous, which of course we weren't thinking about that at the time. We were just more, upset that we've tried with so much time, so much, pain, and then Jen having to go through all the shots and medicine that, it was a -1.
So we took some time off to regroup, went on vacation, enjoyed our holidays, and had our next transfer March of 2019. Our doctor wanted to try a couple other things this time to make the procedure a little bit smoother than the first transfer. We were kind of at a different place with the second transfer. I think we're less emotionally invested because we've seen how it can all kind of go wrong. And so I think we just kind of felt like we were going through the motions the second time. Both of our jobs were really stressful at that time. And so it was just kind of a weird time for us. I think we were kind of feeling hopeful, but yet trying to be reasonable and maintain our emotions. So the second transfer was March 15th of 2019. And this time the process went really smoothly. It was quick, nearly painless, and was just a really smooth procedure.
So I think with like the second transfer, we weren't trying to be as stressed about everything just because of how the first one failed. So we were trying to keep an open mind and saying, maybe this will work. We were probably about 40-60% positive that it worked. And so we went through the process again of waiting. Went back to our hospital to get our blood work done, and this time we got a call like really quick. It wasn't no 4 hours. It was like less than an hour, I think, saying that the number is, like I said, it was supposed to be over 5. It was 130, and so that clearly told us that Jen was pregnant. So we were excited. I think even though we were excited, we were still like pretty cautious because we knew that there still was a huge road ahead. But we were excited in the moment, and there was, like, of course, tears shed, and all this work is going to finally pay off, and so we were excited to hear the good news.
So we found out again on a Saturday morning, and the test they do to measure how pregnant you are, or your HCG levels, is called a beta test. And we had another beta test to do 2 days from then. And because we were guarded and knew that there's always chances of something happening, we decided not to say anything during those first couple days. We just kept the news to ourselves. We were completely shocked. And so we kept it a secret for a couple of days. And then that Monday we went in for our second beta test. And the goal is to have your beta number double, and our beta number more than doubled. And so our doctor said, they're really happy with those beta tests, and we no longer had to do them. And so they said, come back when you're 6 weeks pregnant for your 6-week ultrasound. And so we were kind of home free, away from testing for a little while. And that was a time when we brought our parents over to our house and share the good news with them. And it wasn't super shocking because they knew that we were doing IVF and that we had done a transfer. But nonetheless, they were so excited for us. At that point, we were like 3 years into trying for a family. And so it was just a really special time to share with our family and celebrate.
So later in the week, that week we had kind of a scare. So we had a new beta test done, and that seemed like it was going good still. So we went ahead and told our siblings, and at the 6-week ultrasound, we went in, and the doctor saw the gestational sac. Gestational sac. These are big words. I'm not used to big doctor words, but no fetal pull. So we were kind of nervous, but the doctor said, like, just we'll keep an eye on it. Come back, and we'll come back in a week, test it again. And so we were still, pretty hopeful that we were still moving in a really good direction. So we went home for that week, and just hope that everything was going to be fine.
So we left the appointment feeling okay, but then on the way home, we got a call from the nurse who said that our beta levels now were not rising as they should. So although we felt good about the images that we saw, because the beta number wasn't rising, we were, super concerned. So for the next week, it kind of felt like we were in limbo, just kind of held our breath the next 7 days, not knowing whether or not the pregnancy would stick. Meanwhile, we're going about our lives with our full-time jobs and trying to maintain a sense of normalcy when inside, 4 or 6 of us know that there's some really scary things going on. My gut told me that it wasn't good. You just kind of have that sense. So we went in, like we said, a week later, which was the 7-week ultrasound. And we were able to visualize the heartbeat on the ultrasound monitor. It was a really, really cool moment to see that. The doctor even seemed a little bit surprised to see it. I think she wasn't expecting to see that. So for me, it was just a really neat moment to see life on the screen. And I remember as soon as we saw the heartbeat, I just had these tears streaming down my eyes. So it was a really special moment. Um, when the doctor saw that I was crying, she said, that we're not out of the woods yet. So she kind of tempered my expectations, I guess. She said that the baby's growth was behind about a week. So they were going to keep an eye on things, but said we could come back in 2 weeks, which was better than better than the time before.
Yeah, and I think the process of like going in and actually starting to hear like a heart, or not hear because we couldn't hear the heartbeat, but we could see it. I think that it makes it even like more real, because like on other ultrasounds and stuff like that, like it looks like you're watching like a fuzzy TV, so you can't really tell like what's even going on. And so actually like seeing, instead of like a little blob, actually see like a heart, makes it even more real, and it makes you even more excited that everything is happening. So the next 2 weeks, um, everything was going well. Jennifer was, still having like her cravings and stuff like that. And so after the 2 weeks, we went back in for another ultrasound, and we could tell like right away the doctor, you could tell something, she was looking at something and she was really quiet. And so she let us know at that time that there was no heartbeat. And so we had lost the baby, and that we decided to go ahead and come back the next day to have a D&C performed, which is the removal of the baby from Jennifer.
So that was definitely one of the harder days in our journey. We found out the news and had to go through a 2-hour drive home, which felt like a car ride that would never end. Um, it took so much work to finally get pregnant. It was 3 years of tests and shots and pain and financial hardship and physical hardship, weight gain, and it was just all over in a matter of weeks. And so it was really heartbreaking to finally be so close to achieving something that you want with every fiber of your being, and for it to just be gone like that was really, really hard.
So we decided we were going to name the baby. So we named her Madison Kramer, and we decided to get like a little memorial statue made that's in our backyard to remember her by. And it's a little angel kneeling. And so we decided to have our close family over on her birthday that she would have been born on, to kind of celebrate. So we did like a little ceremony, and then we also let off balloons outside to remember her by. Just something small but yet meaningful that we didn't like forget about Madison.
And so today she would be 1 year old next month. So we'll be celebrating that. And yeah. So after that happened, we took almost a year off. It was just really hard to get through, and we wanted to make sure we took time to heal ourselves, and for me to heal my body and kind of get back to normalcy for a little while. When you're going through fertility treatments, every single month is based upon treatments and your cycle, and I can't do that because I might be pregnant. So it's always nice to take some time off. And so we did. We took about 10 months off, which was really good. During that time also, I started attending a support group here in Grand Island. It's called Sarah's Laughter, and was able to meet a great group of women going through similar things. And so that was really helpful in my healing.
So after we took our 10 months off, of course, everything changed with the world. We ran into the COVID pandemic, and we were getting kind of nervous because a lot of places were canceling non-elective procedures, and so there was clinics that were not accepting anybody to come in for transfers or anything like that. So we were lucky enough in March of 2020 to be able to do our last transfer because we had one embryo left. And so we were driving, it was March 20th. We were driving to Omaha, and we saw a rainbow on the way back, or on the way there on the interstate. Kind of reminded us of our rainbow baby, and thought that, hey, rainbow baby's watching over us and everything's going to be great. On the way there, we got a call from the nurse saying that our embryo looked a little grainy, but they weren't too nervous about it. So we continued going there, and we got there, and we went ahead and did the procedure. This one seemed really long. It seemed a little different. I was in the operating room every time, all three. It's kind of weird because I'm just sitting there and all I can see is like a TV screen, and there's like several nurses and a doctor in there. So they're all talking and looking at monitors, and I'm just kind of sitting there. So the procedure took longer than expected, but they assured us everything was good, and we were hopeful.
And I really think this time around there was a lot more pressure going into that last transfer, knowing that this was our last embryo. I really didn't know if I had it in me to do another round of IVF. And, it was 4 years of trying up till this point, and was really starting to take a toll on us. And so this round definitely was different because of that. During the transfer this time, because I knew it could be our last time, I did take the time more to appreciate the process a little bit, and watched our embryo on the screen, and watched it being put into the tube. And so it's just really neat to pay attention and to watch that. It was really special, and I definitely shed some tears just seeing the embryo on the screen, because I knew just what a blessing it is to be able to see life at such an early stage. So that was really special.
And with the COVID going on, it seemed like everything just took a lot longer. I don't know if it was just because we were stuck in the house, or if everything was just kind of more at a standstill. It just felt like this was like one of our longest times we had to wait. Even though I don't think it was more days or anything. I think we continued to do the same days, but it just seemed like we were just kind of just in a slow motion process. And we were pretty confident that it worked. I mean, we were thinking, third time's a charm, and this was our last try, and so I mean, there was a lot of, in a way, kind of a lot of pressure too, because we knew this was our last embryo, and so we were thinking like, this has to work. So we were staying really confident coming into this that the third one was going to work.
So this time around, we got our call on March 31st, and I could tell in the nurse's voice within the first couple words it wasn't good news. She let us know that it had failed, and that we were not pregnant. It was really hard to hear, and just kind of felt some finality to it because it was the last embryo. Definitely shed some tears and grieved that. I think when you go into fertility and do all this, you never expect in a million years that you'll end up without a baby. I mean, I think in your head that there's a possibility, but you don't allow yourself to go there, because you just can't imagine years and years and years of treatment, tens of thousands of dollars, and emotional investment, and nothing to show for. So it was a really, really tough day. And to make matters worse, this is COVID, March 2020. 2 weeks after finding out that our final transfer didn't work, our 10-year-old lab, Rylan, got very, very ill. And we spent the next month and a half taking care of her, getting her the best care we could. And unfortunately, she passed away May 18th. And so in the middle of a global pandemic, we lost our final embryo and our fur baby. So it was loss on top of loss in May.
So yeah, we had a lot of grieving at the beginning and through the whole 2020. But it was pretty hard. I mean, you think about like we don't have kids. So like Rylan was our kid, our baby, through this whole process. So she was always one that we could, easily cuddle with or squeeze, give a good hug to and kiss. And so it was definitely hard when, we lost Rylan, because we were kind of just in a even more limbo and more sadness in our lives. So we kind of regrouped and we talked to the doctor, and she recommended us to go forward with another IVF cycle. And we did a lot of talking, me and Jen, and we decided that with the numbers that the doctor gave us, that even with another IVF cycle, our chances of actually getting pregnant was around 30%. And then actually carrying the baby to birth, it was only, it was 60%, which is more than half, of course. But I mean, there's a lot of pain and both physically and, emotionally going through a whole IVF cycle. So we had to do a lot of thinking and did a lot of praying and kind of thinking about how we wanted to continue on this journey. And if it was something we were going to continue with infertility treatments, or if we're going to look at other paths.
So in our next video, we're going to tell you guys a little bit more about how we made our decision to adopt, how we came to that, and kind of update you guys on what we've been doing since then and the steps we've taken thus far during our adoption process.
So yeah, thank you for spending this time with us. I know this wasn't a short video, but we wanted to try to get our whole story in on the infertility part. And this is also new to us doing the video. Like I say, we're pretty introverted people, so bear with us when we're making these. We do have notes we look at, so we're not, professionals. So again, thank you. And, we also encourage others out there that are, struggling or in the same boats as us to, kind of follow us and listen to our story. And, we hope that this brings even more people to understand kind of how this whole process works and how there's more people than you think that go through this process. And it's a real deal that people deal with. And there's a lot of people out there that are regularly dealing with that, and not a lot of people share the process that they're going through, or they don't even tell people that they're going through IUI or IVF. It's just kind of more of like personal thing, because some people don't want to talk about the personal side of all of that. And so again, thank you for listening, and we look forward to sharing our next video with you.
Thanks.